Hello everyone, OT Life Hacker here. I just came back from working with the preschool kids today from my fieldwork. I've got a little treat for you that I took back from today. Here we go.
Baby shark doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, baby shark doo-doo-doo-doo.
The point of that was today I was the co-leader for my partner who led the activity today at our field work, and while it was super fun, we learned a ton. So let me first get you oriented with what the field work that I'm doing is about. So I went to preschool today, and I am paired up with one of my classmates on the field work, and we both plan an activity at different times. So last week I planned the activity, and this week she planned the activity to do with the kids. And the point of the activity, that's a group activity, is to engage the children in whatever the task is, as well as see that they're meeting the just right challenge. And by that we mean, are they using their skill enough that it's challenging them and keeping them interested in the activity and not over frustrating them to the point that they're discouraged to do the task, and not promote skills that they're trying to learn, that we are trying to help them build. And these are typically developing children, so that means that they are meeting the developmental milestones. They're being able to do the tasks as appropriate as most other children their age would with their skill sets. And what we're working on is seeing what they're having troubles with, and helping to make it so that they can get to the next level. And here's my handy dandy notebook that I'll be referencing. This is, of course, you can't be taking notes while you're doing the activity on your computer or on your phone, so having a notebook is always very good to keep handy. And so the activity that you just saw me do, that is one of the songs that that the leader of the activity today, that she had done with the kids. And what her activity was, it was freeze dancing, and she used, let me show you here for a second. She used a whole bunch of different shapes with the kids. So she had them dance in the center, and then there were shapes placed around the room. This was also a diamond shape and stood for a triangle. She had what represented a star and circle, as well as some squares for the kids to dance in the middle of the floor. And then she stopped the music and told them, now run to the triangle, and they all have to run to the triangle. So the point of this activity, now the reason we do play in occupational therapy, it's not just have them do an activity, have them do some sort of play activity. It is that we are looking for areas that we can help them grow in. So we're looking at their skills and what can be worked on. So the skill she was working on was attention, seeing if they can stay focused on the activity, and if they can shift their attention from stopping when they're told to stop, and then doing the next task, which is run to the shape, and then start dancing again in the center. And so these were also challenging them to follow one-step directions. And what we learned through this, now keep in mind, and what I'm learning is that when you do an activity, it does not go the way you expect it to go. We've seen it with mine activity and with her activity. You have an elaborate plan. You can predict as much as you want on how an activity is going to go, what skill you're going to work on with the children, but it's dynamic. You have to be able to respond on the moment. See, okay, they're struggling with this. How do we work on that skill? Is that a skill we want to work on? So you want to focus on certain skills. You can't be working on everything under the sun. You want to hone in on certain priority skills because you have to keep in mind time is also something you're being challenged with. Kids' attentions can only stay on one task for a good amount, for a little bit of time. And sure, you can work on making them stay more focused, but you have to also keep in mind what their interests are. So what we've learned in this activity, now again, the goal of it was to engage the children and have them meet the just right challenge. And these are 2 to 3 year olds that we're working with. So their speaking skills are not very strong yet, and their processing skills are still going. So when you're trying to understand like what they're feeling, how they're engaging with the activity, they can't always tell you what they're feeling. They can express it through their sense of like confusion or what appears like disinterest. And so you really have to gauge what you're observing and interpret it. And so again, I already highlighted, you're looking for deficit. You're looking for what is challenging the child, what they're having trouble with. And then you create an activity or some sort of task that you do around that. Because if you create an activity, you're centering your goal around the activity and not the child's needs. Now, this is something that I'm personally learning because when you're doing an activity, say like with my classmate today, we had the children do the dancing and run to the shape. And then the shape that was told to them, many of them didn't know where to go, didn't run to the shape, ran to a different shape. And so you have to decide, okay, what's my priority with this activity? Is it for them to identify the shape? Is it for them to follow to join their classmates, like follow social cues? Everyone's over here, so you go over here. Or is it, there's many different things that you can work on. In our case, it was to have them follow directions. And, or mainly it was to have them stop when we told them to stop, and then start again when we told them to start. So, let's see. We talked about how when you're doing the activity, you work on the spot. You change it up on the spot. You change the rules if you have to completely. So like with the kids that we had today, they were challenged with finding the shape. They got distracted by the other shapes that were spread out around the room. They may not have understood what the directions were. There may have been a lot of different directions given to them because you're telling them to do this and then do that. So maybe they have a hard time processing it all. It could also be they're not interested in those shapes, or that they just don't recognize the purpose of you run to a triangle. So conceptualizing that, oh, this triangle is something you run to. And, oh, that blue shape, this blue shape, that's a circle. We run to that circle. Or star. Now, this one was a really hard one for kids to conceptualize because for 1, 2 to 3 year olds, not all know what stars are. And also, it is a paper star. Now, the stars they usually see are probably in the picture books of show me where the star is, show me where the moon is, and you have the sky, the dark blue sky and the moon and the stars twinkling. But this is a white piece of paper with 5 sides. They may not know what that is. So we could have had more realistic shapes. More realistic of a sky, had the actual like sky with the stars in it. But because we're on the spot, we don't have that option. And so what we could have done is decide, okay, do we want to have them focus in on going to the right shape? Or do we want them to continue with the dancing, look at their gross motor, meaning like the full body movements and being able to follow directions, pay attention? So we eliminated some of these items. Say we had all 3 of these items. We took some out. Say we had just this left. They were fine with just run to this shape. And then it's important that when you're helping a child to progress to the next step or just feel like they can do a task, to not think to yourself, I don't know if this child can do this. Because when you think that, it's oftentimes shown in your demeanor and how you work with the child. And children are very receptive. They are very attentive to what they see in others. And so if they feel that you're not confident in them, why should they be confident in themselves? Children often look to adults for confirmation or for the social cues. And so show confidence in them. That is so important. Show confidence in them and allow them to make mistakes. If they don't realize, oh, I'm supposed to run to that shape, maybe they're still processing what they're supposed to do. So they get cues from their classmates. Their classmates are running there. Okay? Maybe for you as the person helping, if the kids go sit on this, you can hold it up and tell the kids, come here, run here. Or you could have the kid tell the child, run to the person standing there, run to your, give a specific name. You could also, so you can allow for those mistakes because you see it as opportunities for yourself that, oh, that's not failure. That's them showing that that's something they need to work on. So how can I help them work on that? How can I manipulate what is around them, the environment, so that they can go to that shape? Like I said, you have too many shapes, take out some shapes so that they focus only on that shape that you want them to go to. And then also know that it's okay if they don't get it right in the first step. In the first try, first round, have them do it again. And in the second round, they'll get there. They might get there. Maybe they'll just do a little bit of something, but that still counts. You see some sort of progression. You see something in them where they're thinking, oh, how do I do this? Okay, so maybe if I do this, like they're learning, they're filling out what they're supposed to do. And if they look like they're extremely frustrated, like glazed over looks for a very long time, then that could tell you like, okay, 5 minutes passed, they're still looking exactly the same. There's not even any slight, like no dancing, they're just standing there. Then maybe you'd say, okay, we have to change it up. Because what we saw as progress included that there are some children who stood there for a while. When we first started, they stood there not knowing what to do. And then after about 4 songs that we played, you would see them like starting to do a little bit of a movement. So say it's like the hands going like this, okay. And then the next song you see, like moving the shoulders. They're getting a feel for what it's like to do those movements. And you want to see them explore for themselves. To tell them, no, you're doing that wrong, is almost a sense that it's like, you're bad. You don't know, you're not doing it right. So instead of saying that, say, say if you see them doing it, give them a high five, congratulate them, say, good job, I like your dancing. If they look like they need help, maybe you can introduce an item to them. Maybe they like, say tassels or something. And then so you bring out a tassel and you're like, here, try this. rather than saying, oh, you're not doing it right, this isn't working, let's try something else. Be completely natural and just say, you know what? You want to try this? Here you go. And do it with them. Plus, it's a good workout exercise for you. Got my workout in for the day. I feel good. Yay. Anyways, so let's see. What else do you want to talk about? We talked about picking your priorities because you have limited time, you have limited attention span from the kids. Know what you're wanting to work on. And like I said, don't get stuck on the activity, focus in on the skill. Because that can get so hard. If you are so focused on, they're not going to the shape, like we have to make sure they go to the shape. What's the point of that? What are you really working on? In occupational therapy, you want to hone in on intentional play, meaning you're looking for skills that you're trying to build through occupations that the children naturally do. And again, occupations are anything that the kid engages in. And that can be brushing their teeth, that can be eating, feeding themselves, getting dressed, running around with other children, playing with kids. And play's a big thing. Okay, and I completely observed this. Kids are really good at observing and following, mimicking what you do. You hear one child sneeze, and you hear the rest of the kids sound like they're sick because they're all sneezing or coughing. And then if you're clapping, children start clapping all together, and it's as if everyone's cheering for each other. It's lovely. I think that is... there's so much more I can talk about, but main takeaways: focus on the big picture of the activity. Do not get caught up in the tiny details, like they're not doing it this way, they're not going to that one shape, they're not dancing the way I was expecting them to. That's fine. If they look like they're happy, engaged in the activity, awesome. That counts. And also, disclaimer, so everyone has different perspectives, even for the therapists that we followed, therapists that we've seen in the past and that we'll meet in the future. Everyone has different perspectives. And it's not to say it's right or wrong, it's just that we practice it differently. We have different ways of doing things, and so you learn from everything around you. And that's again why we're doing this channel, why we have OT Lifehacker in existence, is because I'm sharing my perspective. Again, I'm a student, so I'm still learning, and there's always so much to learn. No matter if you're a therapist, if you're already in the field for so many years, there's so much to learn from others. And so I am so glad, thankful that you are all here with me and joining me on this experience of learning from each other. Now, I want to learn from you how you, if you work with kids, what are some things that you do with the kids? What are some things that you'd want to know? And I can't say I have the answers, but I can say what I've learned from my own, and we can all chime in on this. Everyone can join in and have a discussion. So please do subscribe, because I've been posting videos very, very frequently. And please likes are always helpful. Please do like this channel, like this video, and share it with others. Again, share those perspectives, share my perspective, and have it be so that we can all learn from each other, because you gotta comment. We won't know what you're thinking and what you've experienced unless you write it down in the comments, and then we can all have a discussion. Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys, and I hope that shark song isn't stuck in your head, because it's been stuck in my head for a long time. All right. Bye, everyone.